from my home in New Jersey, where we are locked away, potentially forever. So you have to deal with this poor lighting, bad backdrops, and things like that temporarily. Today's episode, we have three things to talk about. December challenge. Design a game, 18 card game, with only cards from a standard playing card deck. It is time to announce the winner. The second thing is the design an 18 card legacy game. We're just going to talk about what we received and gear you up for the next couple weeks of video. And the third is to announce the new challenge that'll go through June and July. So let's get into it. So the 18 card playing card challenge, where you had to use 18 cards from a standard playing card deck. We received, how many entries did we get? 31. And it's interesting because it was a really weird time for us because it was right before Christmas. We just lost our video guy, and we didn't know how we were going to go forward with this challenge. And we threw this one out there because people were asking, and we figured it was an easy one that you didn't need to, nobody needed to make any art. It was really easy on the designers. It was easy on us, on the judging end. But everything just kind of took a hit. It was with losing video, that was sort of the inspiration behind this whole thing, was having these great videos, and losing that, as well as Christmas time hit, and then the beginning of the year, and at least for my job, the turnover of the year is crazy. So it's all of our new products, and then we had all these delays immediately. Coronavirus starting in China, it really delayed all of our games, and it was just a whole thing that we never got back to this until now. So with that in mind, we've got 31 submissions. We saw a lot of games that took twists on standard playing cards. We saw games, like trick taking or press your luck, or things that felt like a standard playing card game. And we saw a couple things that felt nothing like that, more like a tabletop game. Some even like moving things around in a more miniature style. It was really cool to see, the variety of it, the variety of themes, because there were things, lots of kings and queens, a couple names to say, Bloodline, King's Court, Royal Divorce, Court of the Four Kings. But then there were themes that were nothing like that. There's Poppin' Peppers. There's Whitewater. There were games that had nothing to do with anything like that, like Slambo, where it's just the math of the cards up and down, and trying to not break 10. There was a cool set. There was a tower defense. There was very standard games like Winston Poker, Runny. There was it was a really cool. There was 18 card Ra, which was just the game of Ra in 18 cards. So it was a cool set of games to play through that are so simple to play because all you need is a deck of playing cards. So this time we came down to a top 2. It's amazing how much they have in common. So the first one is called Marry Up. The second one is called Royal Divorce. They both have that theme of the royal marriage, although Marry Up isn't quite kings and queens getting married. But it does have that theme of royal marriage. The other thing that's really interesting about them is the two games came in between, they were less than 9 minutes apart when they were submitted. It was funny because I'd watched these as they came in and saw these two and kind of bookmarked them on my end as ones that stood out. There are quite a few differences between the two as well. Marry Up is 3 players only. Royal Divorce is 2 players only. Marry Up is drafting. Royal Divorce is deduction. And the rules of Marry Up are very simple, and the rules of Royal Divorce are a bit more complex. So we're just going to take a look at each of them for a second. I'm going to talk about the winner.
Hi, I'm Charlie McCarron, and this is my entry for the Button Shy Games 18 Card Challenge. This game's called Marry Up, and you're trying to marry off the different families here. We have the Hearts family, the Clubs family, the Spades family, and the Royal family. During the game, you're going to try to be the matchmaker and make pairs, so 5 and 5, or ace and ace, And this game plays on the idea that aces can be low or high. So if you can get your ace to marry one of the royal family here, that's going to help you win the game. The player who got the most marriages wins. In this case, though, we each had 2 marriages. So the tie is broken by whoever has the most valuable marriage. The royal marriages are always on top, starting with ace king, then ace queen, ace jack, and pair of fives, fours, threes, twos, and aces if they're not married to royalty. So in this case, it looks like I would win, but my ace's family members showed up in my pile, and they busted me. They showed that I'm not actually royalty, so I can't be married to the king. In that case, looks like R2 wins because he didn't get any other clubs in his pile.
Has your king or queen become a royal pain?
Does your duke or duchess no longer suit you? I'm Patrick Allen.
And I'm David Rome, and if you need help with your royal divorce, we've got it in spades. In Royal Divorce, you and your opponent take turns adding cards to a tableau of royal assets in order to deduce the suit or value of the hidden nest egg in the middle. At the start of every round, 3 cards are discarded, and some are discarded face down. Then the hidden nest egg is placed halfway between each player. 14 cards remain. 7 are dealt to each player. Each player chooses a commission card to place beside them, face down. In order to score points, this card's suit or value will need to match that of the nest egg by the end of the round. To start the round, the claimant plays a claim card to their end of the tableau. If the respondent has a defense card of equal value or a wild card, they play it on their end of the tableau. After the claim and response are made, players switch roles. The claimant becomes the respondent, and the respondent the claimant. The king and queen are wild. Use them to pull cards out of your opponent's hands, or to hide what's in yours if played as a defense card. At the beginning of their turn, using information they've gained from the tableau, the claimant has the option to trade a card from their hand to the discard, and or trade a card from their hand to the commission card. Here the claimant plays a 2 of diamonds, but the respondent can't defend and must discard a card. At this point, if the claimant holds another 2 or a wild in their hand, they must play it to the respondent's side of the tableau, and the respondent would discard a card a second time this turn. However, because the claimant doesn't have a 2 or a wild in their hand, they must discard the original claim. Use misdirection to conceal your knowledge of the nest egg while hedging your bets of what you think it might be. At the end of the round, when all the cards are on the table, the nest egg is revealed. If the commission card successfully matches the nest egg's suit or value, players score based on how many cards in their half of the tableau match the color of their commission card. Here, player 1 scores 0 points, and player 2 scores 2 points.
And the winner of the 18-card challenge, using only cards from a standard playing card deck, is Royal Divorce by Donnie Coleman. The thing about Royal Divorce that's really cool is it takes that royal marriage, flips it on its head, inverts it a little bit, but just makes it the backdrop for the game. You aren't really doing anything with the kings or queens. You're trying to figure out what their face-down nest egg is by way of 2 attorneys going back and forth in arguments. Those arguments are made by playing cards, matching cards. You make a claim, you straighten a claim. By doing this, you're revealing information that each other has. You're trying to deduce what card that nest egg is through this ongoing process of arguments. It's really neat, and it's cool. It's cool how these arguments kind of take shape and how you gain information through that. And congrats to Donnie. Congrats to everybody who submitted in this contest. So, on to the Legacy Challenge. The Legacy Challenge just wrapped up about a week ago. We received 60 entries. I didn't know how many that we would get. 50 seems like an average nowadays, but this one was a really difficult one. So it's a lot of testing, it's a lot of development. You need to have a core game that works, and you need to have legacy elements that are interesting and kind of set you apart. So it was a really tough one, and I've watched a bunch of videos. There's some really cool stuff in there that we'll start sharing starting next week. But 60 entries, that's crazy. It's a really tough challenge, and I know some of these games have been tested in and out and developed deep. There's some deep legacy going on, so it'll be fun to play through them, to watch all the videos together with all the other judges and see what we got. So keep an eye out next week for a little tease of all the games we received. And that leads us to the next challenge. We had two of them, and it was, do we go difficult or do we go easy? Following up Legacy, we should have went easy, but we decided to go with the difficult one. Design an 18 card worker placement game. Cards only. There's a couple extra things that we'll add to that. Things that we kind of want to avoid. Things like dexterity, things like solo. We want to see an interactive worker placement game that only uses cards. It's really difficult. But I think the more difficult challenges that we've done have been the most fun. Like, for example, the one we started off with the identical card challenge. So what makes worker placement, great or fun? I'm not going to, try to muddy that up too much with my own opinions, because I'd like to see what you guys have and not get stuck on those. But worker placements are at their core, games of placing workers, which are usually some sort of bits, which we don't have. So figure out a creative way to do that. Receiving something for what the workers have done. We don't have a lot of bits or any bits, so you got to figure out an interesting way of that. Core examples are Lords of Waterdeep, Stone Age. I can't imagine either of those games without their components. It's up to you to figure that out. I just think it's going to be fun. This is one that it's kind of like the dream 18 card game. There's a couple of them. Some are terrible, like Deck Builder, and this one might be as well. But it's one of those really cool challenges to see if somebody can nail it, to see if a bunch of you can nail it, and to see how you nail it. So good luck.